You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
As I live and breathe, I can't believe we're sitting here talking to Keegan about the AL East leading Toronto Blue Jays.
I'm not used to doing this, Dan. I don't know how to do this part of the job. You know, I started covering the team in 2017, so I was kind of the kiss of death for a while. There were the fun years, and then I showed up, and it hasn't been fun for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm not used to this positivity. 5-2, they've looked good. And that's the thing. They haven't just fluked their way to this. They've looked good. I like how they've been coached and managed. Their rotation depth stepped up and looked good. Like all of these things that we thought would go wrong have gone right. And it's amazing, especially after that first game, the opening day when they lost. You saw just how eager people were to say, screw this team, I'm out. And now people get tempted back in. A 5-2 start, man. This is as good as it could have possibly gone. Like, this is best case scenario.
Well, people had bailed after the first game. They gave up 12 runs, and then they were back in on game 2, and then game 3, they were back out because they gave up 9 runs. So
emotional stability is not a big thing around here, no.
And what I tell people, because I've got Yankee fans that are friends, and they say, it's early. But I also point out to them, I'm not sure if you knew, but wins at the start of the season count as much as wins at the end of the season.
People only say it's early when they suck.
So Atlanta Braves fans are saying it's very early.
It's really early in Atlanta. I mean, if you're a Dodgers fan, you're not saying it's early. This is becoming my opinion with all of these types of things, Dan, whether it's early, it's small sample sizes, the playoffs are just random. You only say that when you suck. You only say that when you lose. If you are winning, then this is a great representation of your ball club. If you are on a hot streak, it's the sign of something to come. If you win the World Series, it's because you're the best team. These excuses come out when you're losing, and we've had a lot of its early talk in Toronto over the years. So this is refreshing. It feels energizing, and honestly, man, fun to be around. It's in my job, you don't really care who wins and loses. You care about a good story, but it's my workplace. And I'd rather be around happy people than miserable people. It's possible I've absorbed some of the misery over the years. I don't know. And now that I think about it, maybe that's what happened. But it's a happy clubhouse. And that flight to New York yesterday with an off day following, take the over on beers on that flight. That would have been a happy flight, man.
100%. And one of the happiest Jays is one of the newest Jays, Andres Gimenez, a guy you said, watch for this guy because he does things you don't see other players do on the ball field. And you're only talking about his defense.
Yeah.
He brought the bat, too.
Yeah, this has been surprising. I won't pretend I saw this part coming. And Andres Gimenez, he's listed officially, when you bring him up on .com, 161 pounds. There are not a lot of 161-pound cleanup hitters in Major League Baseball. They typically look a little more in my direction. And Gimenez is a brilliant defender. He might be the best infield defender in Major League Baseball. But what he's doing now is tapping into his athleticism. And when we think of home run hitters, we think of guys built like Vladdy. I always try to use the example of even Jose Bautista when he was here. Look up how, Bautista's aura made it feel like he was 6'5", 280. He was not. When you look at these guys that max out, I'm not saying Gimenez is going to be Bautista. We can all calm down. But when you look at guys who get more out of their athleticism, out of the torque of their body, you don't need to be a huge guy at this point in Major League Baseball. And what the Blue Jays have done with Gimenez is free him up. There's a lot of ways, from a very basic, my grade 2 physics background, you just need to create bat speed. If a fast bat hits a baseball, it's going to go a long way. Now, Vladdy can do that without even turning his hips. He can flick his wrists and create bat speed. But what the Blue Jays and David Popkins, who is Toronto's new favorite coach, are getting Gimenez to do is use his athleticism and uncoil his body and really lean into it. He's not getting tied up in mechanics. He is just exploding through the ball. And man, the home runs have been incredible so far. If he hits on top of being a defender, he could be the most valuable player on this team. Like, if you look at it by wins above replacement, he really could be.
Yeah, because he's got three home runs. Vladdy doesn't even have one yet. So it leads you to the question, that is surrounding Major League Baseball, the Torpedo bats that the New York Yankees are using. And I say to everyone, everyone's allowed to use them. So you've been asked this a million times. How many Jays players have a Torpedo bat? And if they don't, are they on order?
Some guys will be ordering, definitely. Davis Schneider had one kicking around. A lot of the players were playing around with it, swinging it. It does have a different feel in terms of how the weight is distributed through the bat. And baseball players know a bat when they pick it up. It's amazing. I don't have that talent, but they can pick it up, give it a couple of flicks. They'll tell you how long it is, how many ounces it is, what brand it is. Like they know this. So a Torpedo bat's a big change. It may not look significantly different, but it feels a lot different. So I think you'll see some guys slowly breaking in with it. If they're going to use it, you probably want them to take a week of BP with it or something like that. But it is, like you say, Dan, everyone can use it. But it's like we have the tush-push conversation in the NFL right now. Are they going to ban that or not? Everyone can do it. Mm-hmm. So at this point, it's about who it benefits. And I loved Aaron Judge of the Yankees. He was asked about it, and he kind of said, dude, like, look at my last 2 seasons. I'm good. I'm okay without a Torpedo bat, man. Who this benefits, from my understanding, is guys who sometimes get jammed or are hitting the ball too low on the bat and missing that barrel. Someone like Vladdy or Aaron Judge, they can hit the ball hard enough. That's okay. But a lot of this has been around Anthony Volpe, the Yankees shortstop. He was one of the guys using it, involved with that. Guys who are getting jammed sometimes or hitting it imperfectly and need that extra boost. Now, everyone's going to play with it because it's a new toy. And it's exciting, Dan, because baseball is at a point where you've almost lost hope or lost that excitement that there's going to be another big breakthrough. You know, everyone's just fighting for a little inch right now. There's not going to be another Moneyball where one team figures out a number that changes the game. Everyone is fighting and scrapping just to get an inch ahead. Everybody knows everything at this point. So when you see a new shape bat, it's kind of like, holy crap. Number one, how did nobody think of this for 100 years?
Yeah.
And, even when you look at the build of golf clubs, for example, you have drivers or irons that are built bigger in certain areas to be more forgiving. Why has this not been in baseball? But thankfully, baseball is full of beautiful nerds who are thinking of these things all the time. And, man, I hope the guy who designed this got some sort of patent or something. I hope
he used
he's
to
making
work for
some
the
cash.
Yankees. Now he's in the Marlins front office, and he invented it, but every bat manufacturer uses it. So, I was thinking the same thing. I've watched a lot of Shark Tank, so I hope he has a patent.
There we go.
This is the biggest, the most we've talked about baseball in a long time, and it also reminds me of the Sam bat, the Canadian-made Sam bat, when Barry Bonds was using that. Is the Sam bat still around? I don't even know if anyone's still using it.
still see it kicking around sometimes. There's so many bat manufacturers
it's made of
now,
maple.
Man.
That was the big thing, maple.
And that was the big
stronger.
breakthrough. Maple bats coming through. And you see it through spring training. Every day there's a new table of guys trying to sell bats to these baseball players. And some days it's, Louisville Slugger comes through and okay, they've got some clients. But it seems like there's 1,000 bat companies now. Same with glove companies trying to pop up, and they all want to get their first player. But, man, I'm interested to see how this sticks, though, Yeah. By the end of the year, how many guys are using Torpedo bats. And a year from now, our pitcher is going to attack a guy with a Torpedo bat differently. Now, if you're pitching a right-handed hitter with a Torpedo bat, I'm going to try to pitch him outside as much as I can, knowing that the end of his bat is narrower than it used to be. I know that's getting really micro, but baseball is all about micro. So I think there'll be a reaction and then a reaction to it. But interesting week, man. I wasn't expecting a new bat to show up, but sure.
Fun fact, I went to the Sam Bat factory way back when it was still in on a main street in Ottawa somewhere, and Sam was still making them.
Oh, nice.
And they had a batch of Barry Bonds bats ready to go out. And he said, as you already alluded to, baseball players know their bats.
Oh, yeah.
He said if Barry knows if his bat is a quarter of an ounce off, he will pick it up. I wanted so bad to just walk out of there with 10 of those because if you remember Barry Bonds' bat, it was a very unique handle. Everything was unique about it.
It's amazing. I've heard stories about the Bonds bats, and these guys are so into it. They're so into it. And they'll give each other crap if they're swinging a bat that's too light or something. They'll try to use each other's bats in BP. Somebody will lug Vladdy's big piece of lumber up there. They can barely swing it. It's a lot different. Like, I love talking to guys like Buck Martinez or something about this. Back in the day where you just kind of grabbed a hunk of wood in the dugout that was, just roughly sanded down. Things were not this fine at this point, but dude, it is a technology of its own. Different handles, like the axe handle, a lot of guys use now. But it's back to the golf analogy. It's a lot like I used to be a golfer, and whenever you suck, you just buy a new putter. You blame it on the putter, you buy a new one. So a lot of guys, I think, churn through some bats looking for answers that probably are not in the bats, but whatever. It's something to blame it on.
I actually collect baseball bats, and I have some game used. I have a game used Garth Orge. I have a game used Alexis Infante.
Wow.
A game used Ted Lilly, and a game used Paul Molitor. If you've ever seen a Paul Molitor bat, it has the most unique handle I've ever seen on a baseball bat. So find that. Hopefully they can put that in the Club 32. What is it? Club 32?
328.
328.
328.
They can put a bunch of baseball bats next to all the baseball cards that they keep telling us about.
I like it.
Injury updates. Max Scherzer, you said this was a concern going in. First start, goes out with the thumb injury. What's the timeline on him?
This one's been weird. It never felt good. And when something doesn't feel right, I should probably listen to that feeling a little more, because it popped up as a problem early, mid-March down in Dunedin. And he's telling us, listen, this is hitting me at 50 pitches. It puts my arm in danger. This is a serious thing I've been dealing with. And then suddenly it was just fine. And that maybe it wasn't at that point, because he comes back out, he deals with it right away. 45 pitches in, again, near that 50-pitch limit. So suddenly he's using words like, I was going to be put in imminent danger. I wanted to avoid a serious injury. That's scary. So what Scherzer has said now, he got a cortisone injection in that thumb. He said that he wants to get it back to 100% before he throws again. Where this gets tricky is that if it goes another week, even if he starts throwing pretty soon, he's going to have to build back up. A bullpen session, a side session, a AAA rehab. So even the short version of this is going to take a bit. But I don't have any feel for if this is going to be short. And if he's dealt with this for a few years now, I don't know if a cortisone shot this time is going to be what makes it go away for the rest of the year. I would be stunned if this is the last time we hear about it. I guess that's the best way to say it. Now, in any player's case, I hope they have full health. I hope they don't have these issues. But looking at how this has played out and looking at Scherzer's history with this injury over the past couple of years, we're going to hear about it again. I think this is something he's going to battle through. Maybe they need to manage it, buy him some extra days. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm not sure if they know what the solution is either. That's where this gets tricky, because it seems like a small thing, just a thumb issue. But really, if you start to change your hand position, if you start to throw a little more with your shoulder than your body, you will blow up. It'll happen, especially if you're 40 going on 41 like Max Scherzer. So it's scary. They had Easton Lucas step in and look really good. But if they need a guy to look good for 2 months, that's something different. Full credit to Easton Lucas. Loved how he looked. But when it's a team's first time seeing you, maybe they're not as read up on Easton Lucas as they would be on Kevin Gausman, for example. So we'll see how he maintains that. But if he can, that's a lifesaver, because they might need a pitcher for a while here.
Easton. I love all the new names coming about. He should be playing hockey, because I know a lot of hockey players that are named Easton. And Daulton Varsho, what's his update?
He's coming along. I think the last update, I have so many Daulton Varsho medical updates burned into my brain. He is now at 150 feet throwing a baseball. The max distance the Blue Jays want him to get to is 180-ish. So he's getting closer. Once he gets there, which they hope happens in this next week, then they start treating him like a pitcher, where they're actually going to measure his velocity throwing. They want that to get up over 80 miles an hour, which is a pretty good ticket for an outfielder. Right now, he's down in Dunedin playing in minor league games off to the side, but he's not throwing in those games, which must be weird. Like he's making a good catch in the outfield and then rolling it to his right fielder to throw in. I don't know how that works, but he's getting there. I think we still see him in April. I'm looking now, April 3rd. Yeah, he's still got 4 weeks. The good news, Dan, is that he's been hitting this whole time. So this is only about his shoulder, period. He doesn't need to get 10 games of at-bats in Buffalo to be ready. He's going to be ready as a hitter. So the moment his shoulder is okay, he's back. I think that happens in the next 2-3 weeks, ideally. And that makes their roster pretty interesting. You'll no longer need both Miles Straw and Nathan Lucas. This is already really outfielder heavy, and it'll only help them, too. This team already looks really good, and you're getting back maybe the best outfielder defender on the planet. It's a great spot to be in, and while this hasn't been ideal, like I still think shoulder surgeries like that are complicated. Even though he's missing a little bit of time, this is still like a top outcome. It's gone really well for him. And ideally, he hits when he comes back, though. That's always the tough part. If you're chasing, if you're trying to catch up, it gets a little tricky. We'll see how that goes, but he's going to immediately make this team better.
And two final things. Your press box is no longer behind the home plate. It's in, down the left field line?
Left field line. That's right.
Okay, and do you have any new snacks in the press box this year? Any new treats?
I'm trying to think of new additions. They do take, and I will say, they take very good care of us in Toronto. And visiting writers say the same thing. It's going on the road, for example, the New York Yankees is always kind of the gold standard. So I'm looking forward to late April. But they do take great care of us. Controversial move with the old, what's the new iced tea in Canada, Fuse?
Yes.
We got changed from Nestea to Fuse. There was a little bit of a... It's funny how small our lives are. So many of us who are just there all the time. These things become conversation topics. But, man, a couple of good days right off the bat. A couple of days with carrot cake on the dessert table. I'm a huge carrot cake man.
Did it have raisins?
No on the raisins. So the big thing for me... and I'm dedicating myself this year, is that mid-game, usually midway through the game, they'll put out a few pizzas. And it's Pizza Nova Pizza because that's the sponsor of the Blue Jays. So I won't say anything too bad. But if you have it once, you're going to have it all 81 home games. And if you add that up, it's tough. And I know I'm not withering away either. So I have committed myself, no mid-game pizza this year. It's going to be a year of purity. I've at least got to, when I go home and drink 6 beers after the game, that doesn't count. But I got to stay away from the press box pizza, those mid-game snacks. It adds up.
I will say this about Pizza Nova, and I'm not a pizza fan. Their barbecue chicken pizza is spectacular.
I'm a barbecue chicken man no matter what. Like barbecue sauce on pizza. You're just not a pizza man at all? Like just not? Wow.
Here's my producer Tim, who's producing
Controversial.
Is he's so sick of this conversation, but my theory is if pizza was taken off a food item list for the entire world, it would not affect my life at all.
Wow.
I've never gone out of my way to order pizza. If there are 50 things on a menu and pizza's on it, it would be the last thing I choose every time.
My goodness.
I don't get the fascination.
I love it. We need a deep dive on that someday. What happened? Where did you go wrong?
It's fine. It's a food of convenience. Like my daughter threw.
I wish
my daughter threw
like
a pizza in the oven last night. I had a slice of it because it was just sitting there.
There we go. All right, as long as it's not a full hate.
My final question is: once the tension at the border subsides, I have some friends in Buffalo, and they said you have to come down for a Bison's game, and they said. It's actually a very nice ballpark. Can you agree with them or disagree?
I love that ballpark because it's a simple ballpark, and that's what I love about most minor league stadiums. Is because I'm not someone who needs complicated things in my stadium. I personally would not be the one in Club 328. I know it's for other folks,
but it's got baseball cards.
It does. I believe the story, and I'll have to look this up. I think the story is that when the field was built. it was built in a way that if Major League Baseball or a bigger team ever came, they had it set so that they could add another deck on top. So it was built as a pretty traditional lower bowl around there. I mean, man, I love Buffalo. I love the people of Buffalo. They know how to have a good time. It's a cool stadium. Get yourself a beef on weck. Enjoy a game. Maybe wait until it warms up. We'll see. And maybe you can find one of those days where they take the Canadian dollar on par. Those are fun days. Because the old exchange rate, Dan, I tell you, because I'm in the States a lot, and you pay for that $10 beer and then it pops up on your phone as something completely different in Canadian dollars. Oh, baby. So, good place to be.
Here's what I'm going to say to my Buffalo friends. We're making the drive. Everything's on you guys once we get there.
Oh, absolutely. That would only be polite of them, I think.
Exactly. Keegan, I love this catch-up. I love talking Blue Jays baseball. You have yourself a heck of a week, and we'll talk to you next week.
You got it, my friend. We'll talk then.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.